Okay. Make sure that they both stay quiet before we put out anything to the public. The CEO already sent out an apology on X, and he apologized.
He tried to duck out of frame, but the internet never forgets. A married CEO caught in the arms of his HR chief at a Coldplay concert just lost his entire career over a kisscam moment, and the fallout only gets messier from here. Gillette Stadium was electric that night. Coldplay was mid-performance, the lights were dazzling, the crowd was buzzing, and fans were soaking in every moment of the experience. Then the screens shifted. It was time for the kiss cam. You know the drill. The camera picks a couple, the crowd cheers, and everyone hopes for a cute moment. But this time, it was different. Two people appeared on the Jumbotron, a man and a woman cozied up like they were in their own little world.
Andy Byron, who was caught having an affair with the head of HR, Kristin Cabot, at the Coldplay concert, has released a statement.
At first, it looked like a sweet, innocent shot until their reaction said otherwise. The man instantly jerked away, almost hiding beneath his seat, while the woman turned her face to the side, clearly caught off guard. It was that kind of reaction that doesn't say, "We're camera shy." It says, "We weren't supposed to be seen like this." And then came the kicker. Chris Martin, Coldplay's own frontman, spotted the awkward moment and leaned into the mic with a casual, cheeky comment. Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. The crowd laughed. At that moment, it felt like a passing joke, but for the couple on screen, it was the spark that would ignite a viral storm.
His HR chief. They're all cozied up in the crowd, looking a little too close for coworkers. Then the Jumbotron zoomed.
Because the internet was already watching. And it didn't take long for the sleuths of TikTok, Reddit, and Twitter to connect the dots. Within hours, the clip had millions of views. Screenshots were flying, names were being dropped. The man, allegedly Andy Byron, CEO of the tech company Astronomer. The woman beside him, reportedly the head of human resources at the same company. It wasn't just a random couple anymore. It was a married tech executive and his senior HR officer, caught in an intimate moment, in front of a stadium full of people and millions more online. And that changed everything. What should have been a night of music turned into a PR disaster.
I mean, what is that job besides the fact that I don't think that any of them have it anymore, that the business probably won't exist? Let this be a piece of advice.
People weren't just reacting, they were outraged. Questions started piling up. Who was the woman? Was this a consensual relationship or a misuse of power? And why was the head of HR, someone who's supposed to uphold workplace conduct, involved? The kiss cam clip may have only lasted seconds, but the shockwave it sent through tech Twitter, corporate boards, and the entire Astronomer team, that was just getting started. As the clip continued to spread like wildfire, what started as a viral concert moment quickly turned into a full-scale corporate scandal. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok creators dissected the video frame by frame.
Suspected the affair, but stayed quiet and started plotting. Megan had noticed the signs, Andy's shady phone habits, sketchy schedules, and attention when Kristin appeared.
Twitter was flooded with hot takes, memes, and speculation. Within hours, it wasn't just entertainment gossip. It became a case study in corporate chaos. Comment sections lit up with disbelief. Wait, that's a married CEO. Isn't she the head of HR? This is why you don't mix business with pleasure. But the internet didn't stop at reactions. They pulled company bios, LinkedIn profiles, old interviews, even archived corporate press releases. The identities were confirmed, and suddenly Astronomer, a relatively low-profile data company, was at the center of one of the most talked-about viral stories of the week. And then came the real pressure from inside the company.
Point to Byron's wife pulling the strings. First, reports say employees were laughing their asses off after the cheating clip went viral.
This wasn't just about a kiss cam anymore. Astronomer had a leadership credibility crisis on its hands. Employees were blindsided, partners started asking questions, and customers were tagging the company in viral posts demanding accountability. For a company that proudly claimed to power the future of AI, the very human drama unfolding was threatening to tear apart its image. Worse, the woman in the clip wasn't just any employee. She was the head of human resources, the one responsible for workplace conduct, for maintaining boundaries, for managing internal investigations. The optics were bad, the implications were worse.
What are the chances? It was just a Coldplay concert, okay? What are the chances? There's so many people. What are the chances?
Within 24 hours, Astronomer posted a formal statement on X, formerly Twitter, saying it had launched an internal investigation. But noticeably, the statement didn't name the individuals in the video. Still, most people already knew. Then, a second wave hit. A fake resignation statement claiming to be from the CEO began circulating. The company scrambled to clarify it wasn't real, but by then, the brand damage was done. People started questioning everything. If this is what leadership is doing in public, what's happening behind closed doors? Can employees really trust HR now? And why hasn't the CEO responded directly?
Coldplay a hot topic, saving Chris a lot on promotion. He knew more people would come to the concert, and the photographer played a huge role in that.
By the end of the week, it was clear this wasn't just a trending topic. It was a legitimacy crisis. And if Astronomer didn't act fast, the scandal could swallow the entire company's reputation and its leadership whole. But the board wasn't done, not yet, because what happened next would change the company forever. Once the video went viral, the leadership at Astronomer found themselves cornered, not by competitors or economic forces, but by their own CEO's moment of poor judgment, broadcast to millions. The board had built its brand on innovation, AI leadership, and corporate transparency. But now, their credibility was dissolving in real time.
A tale as old as capitalism itself. When the company went bust and was sold off for pennies on the dollar, him and other top-level executives.
At first, they tried to hold the line. The company issued a carefully worded statement saying they were launching a formal investigation. It didn't name anyone. It didn't address the kisscam footage directly. But everyone knew what it was about, and then came the tipping point. Inside the company, staff were demanding answers. Employees were confused, frustrated, even humiliated. Some were genuinely unsure if they could continue working under a leadership team embroiled in such a public scandal. Others were furious that the head of HR, the very person responsible for enforcing workplace policy, was now at the center of it. External pressure was mounting too. Major clients were calling, investors were uneasy, partners were distancing themselves, and the media, they weren't letting go. Every hour brought a new headline, a fresh tweet, or another stitch on TikTok, dragging Astronomer into deeper controversy. So, the board finally made its move. The board will begin a search for our next chief executive, the company announced. Andy Byron has submitted his resignation. Co-founder Pete DeJoy will serve as interim CEO. Just like that, Byron was out. The company's tone was clear, firm, but without emotion. There was no thank you for years of service, no acknowledgement of past leadership. Just a clear-cut message. This kind of behavior won't be tolerated, not even at the highest level.
Lands right on them. They see themselves, and then the way they dissolve off screen, the woman goes, "Woo!" and the CEO goes, "Brr."
Behind the scenes, sources suggested the resignation wasn't voluntary. It was a push, swift and necessary. With reputations, deals, and talent on the line, the board had to protect the company at all costs. But the fallout didn't end there. The resignation might have satisfied some in the public, but inside Astronomer, trust was already shattered. Leadership had lost its moral authority. The HR department, now tainted by the scandal, faced an identity crisis. And while Byron stepped down, the woman in the video remained a ghost, unaddressed, unnamed, and unofficially implicated in every corner of the internet.
If I were running crisis management on the inside here, I would not have released a statement.
Astronomer may have hit reset on its leadership, but its culture, that was still fractured. And as the story continued to spread, the question wasn't just who will lead next? It was, can the company even recover? At Astronomer, the culture had always been a point of pride. Startup energy blended with Silicon Valley optimism. Employees believed in the mission, the leadership, and the future. But in the wake of the Coldplay concert scandal, all of that changed. The resignation of CEO Andy Byron might have been necessary, but for many employees, it felt like too little, too late. Internally, there was no applause, only confusion, frustration, and a growing sense of betrayal.
About that. Our CEO had an affair with the head of HR, yeah. So we're in a bit of a bind.
And it wasn't just about Byron, it was about who was with him. The woman at the center of the now infamous kisscam moment was not a stranger to the company. She was the head of human resources, the person responsible for safeguarding employee well-being, promoting ethical standards, and ensuring fair conduct across the board. Now that trust had evaporated. Some employees began asking, if the person enforcing the rules breaks them, what does that mean for everyone else? Others felt silenced, fearing retaliation if they spoke up. Slack threads that once celebrated team wins were now filled with vague messages about integrity and moving forward. Morale dipped, productivity slowed, quiet quitting, which had once seemed like a buzzword, suddenly became a quiet reality. And the questions kept piling up. Was this really a one-time mistake? Had there been favoritism or blurred lines within upper management before? What precedent did this set for the rest of the workforce? Meanwhile, HR, the very department now under fire, attempted to run damage control. All-hands meetings were called, emails were drafted, edited, and sent with promises of rebuilding and committing to company values. But to many inside the company, it sounded like corporate lip service.
Need space.
Is that some kind of a joke? It's just a jumbotron. I don't think it's going to be that big of a prop.
It's hard to believe in the values when the people at the top don't seem to live by them. One anonymous employee reportedly said, others began looking elsewhere, updating resumes, browsing job boards, or seeking out referrals. The sense of safety that once existed at Astronomer had been replaced by a toxic mix of cynicism and disbelief. Outside the company, the fallout was equally harsh. Tech industry forums lit up with threads about the scandal. On LinkedIn, competitors took subtle shots. Recruiters from rival firms started reaching out to Astronomer employees, some even using the phrase, "need a place with better leadership."
May or may not have known who, but all Coldplay did was solidified.
What had been a moment of scandal was rapidly becoming a full-blown reputational crisis. And for a company rooted in data, trust, and clarity, the contradiction couldn't be more glaring. The message was clear: a resignation doesn't fix culture, especially not when the entire organization is questioning the foundation it was built on. And rebuilding, that's going to take more than a new CEO. Astronomer was never meant to be a household name. It wasn't a consumer tech giant like Apple or Meta. It was the quiet force behind data infrastructure, trusted by companies that needed clean pipelines, reliable automation.
It's time to kiss it goodbye.
And scalable machine learning tools. It was precise, professional, and discreet until the kisscam happened. Suddenly, Astronomer became the company at the center of a very public and very personal controversy. Overnight, it wasn't their platform or innovation that made headlines. It was their CEO's face projected on a stadium jumbotron with someone he shouldn't have been with, ducking into his hoodie while the internet watched. The backlash was instant and far-reaching. Clients began to question the company's judgment. Some quietly reached out to their account managers, asking for reassurances.
that this was not a sponge, spontaneous, innocent outing. One thing is clear, the entire company might have known something was up.
Others demanded meetings. A few reportedly began reviewing contracts, not because the product had failed, but because the brand no longer felt trustworthy. The concern wasn't just about morals, it was about reputation by association. In the world of B2B tech, credibility is everything. If your data partner is in disarray, what does that mean for your own integrity? Meanwhile, potential investors, some of whom had been circling Astronomer's Series D funding round, began pulling back. Due diligence conversations shifted from product metrics to crisis PR. And whispers began to swirl about whether a company in the AI race could afford to have ethical instability at the top.
And found her LinkedIn through this promotion post that Kristin posted, where she congratulates Alyssa for being promoted.
Even among strategic partners, the vibes had changed. A company that had once been seen as reliable and innovative was now being watched with caution, not for what it built, but for how it behaved. And then there were the headlines, not from tech trades, from mainstream outlets. Married CEO caught cuddling on kisscam, resigns in disgrace. Coldplay concert moment sinks a tech company's leadership. Astronomer wasn't trending for a breakthrough, it was trending for a breakdown. Worse, the clip was everywhere. Meme accounts, TikTok edits, late night jokes. It spread like wildfire.
And tagging, when someone once told me, you only look as shady as you look and act, which basically means that if they did.
And with every view, share, and comment, the company's name got dragged further away from its mission and deeper into scandal territory. The long-term damage, that remains to be seen. Some clients may stay, others won't. Some investors will wait and watch, others will walk. But one thing is certain, Astronomer's brand will never be viewed the same way again. They didn't just lose a CEO, they lost control of their narrative. Scandals in tech aren't new. But the Astronomer story hit differently. It didn't stem from a data breach, algorithmic bias, or a failed product. It came from something deceptively simple. A personal indiscretion captured at a Coldplay concert played out on a giant screen and broadcast to the world.
Of our affairs in private. And if you wanted to do that, sir, you could have just not gone to a Coldplay concert.
But its impact was massive. Now, across the tech world, leaders are watching, not just out of curiosity, but out of concern. Because the truth is, Astronomer's downfall didn't come from a technical failure. It came from a human one. At startups, especially high-growth ones, culture is everything. Founders are told to be bold, decisive, charismatic, to lead from the front and inspire. But they're also expected to uphold a higher standard. When they fail, especially in such public fashion, the consequences are no longer contained. Within days, Slack groups at other companies were buzzing with questions.
What about the husband that was cheated on? I just think that the husband that was cheated on should get just as much support. Do you agree or disagree?
What if this happened to us? Are our leaders held accountable? Would we handle it better or worse? Some companies even quietly began reviewing their own HR policies. Others opened up internal conversations about ethics, leadership behavior, and power dynamics at the executive level. Because Astronomer's story exposed something uncomfortable: how quickly a private mistake can explode into a public brand implosion, and how few companies are truly prepared for that. The kisscam video wasn't just a viral moment. It became a mirror, forcing tech companies to examine how much they rely on the image of their leadership, and how fragile that image really is.
Not a verified source for this, nor the origin of where the supposed statement came from, so I left it out of my video for the time being until I got some verification.
And the reaction hasn't been all schadenfreude. Behind the scenes, there's also fear. A reminder that no matter how cutting edge your product is, trust is the most valuable thing you offer. And once it's gone, there's no easy way to get it back. As one VC insider reportedly put it, the Astronomer situation is a case study now, in every boardroom, in every pitch meeting. It's no longer just about what you're building. It's about who's building it and how they behave when no one's supposed to be watching. Because in the age of viral moments, someone's always watching. With CEO Andy Byron officially out and co-founder Pete DeJoy stepping in as interim chief, Astronomer has entered full-blown recovery mode.
Fired, gone, just days after the kiss that shocked the world. People are calling it corporate betrayal at its finest, cheating on your wife and then firing the woman you...
The company has issued multiple public statements emphasizing its commitment to core values and accountability at every level. But inside and outside the company, the real question is, can they actually bounce back? It's a tricky climb. The scandal wasn't just an embarrassment. It undermined Astronomer's credibility, not only as a workplace, but as a strategic data partner in an industry built on trust. And the path forward is steep. 1. Internal trust is shattered. Employees aren't just mourning a CEO, they're grappling with the revelation that the leadership they once believed in may have abused their influence, quietly violating the very policies they helped enforce.
She cheated with one CEO with another CEO. Now, I ain't saying she a gold digger.
Even after Byron's exit, the woman seen in the video remains a key part of the fallout, as she reportedly held a senior HR position. That complicates any effort to hit reset. How do you build a culture of integrity if the team responsible for upholding it is also in question? Second, leadership vacuum. Pete DeJoy may be a stabilizing figure for now. He's a co-founder with deep knowledge of the product, but he wasn't hired to handle crisis, PR, or corporate trauma. His interim status leaves the company in limbo, raising concerns about long-term direction. Without a permanent CEO, investors may hesitate, employees may drift, and clients may reconsider renewals.
Of her being head of HR, and he has 2 children, and it appears that they were caught.
Stability has never been more critical and harder to deliver. Third, brand rehabilitation. From a branding perspective, Astronomer has a long road ahead. The name itself is now attached to headlines that have nothing to do with data engineering. Social media still circulates the kisscam clip with Astronomer's name attached in every caption. And rebranding isn't as simple as changing a logo or slogan. They'll need to prove day by day that they've changed. Not just at the top, but at every level of the organization. Fourth, industry skepticism. Tech peers and potential recruits are watching closely. Will Astronomer quietly move on and sweep the incident under the rug?
Now what we'd like to do is say hello to some of you. The way we're going to do that is using our cameras. So if you look at the screen.
Or will they use this moment to radically reform their culture, policies, and leadership style? Because in an industry that already struggles with transparency, ethical standards, and power dynamics, Astronomer now has the spotlight. Whether they use it or burn under it is up to them. It started as a viral kiss cam moment. Awkward, cringeworthy, maybe even funny. But within days, it became something much bigger, a corporate reckoning. Andy Byron's exit wasn't just a resignation, it was a public admission that leadership still matters. That behind the logos, platforms, and buzzwords are real people with power, choices, and consequences.
There's a fake statement where he quotes Coldplay that's going around that people who are
Astronomer wasn't taken down by a bad product or weak strategy. It was blindsided by something much more human, the failure of its own leadership to live by the standards they set for everyone else. In a world where reputations can unravel in a matter of seconds, captured by a single camera, magnified by millions of screens, the lesson is crystal clear. What you do when no one's watching matters. Because someone always is. And for every tech executive who watched that clip and thought, that could never be me, Astronomer stands as a reminder. It only takes one moment to lose everything you spent years building.
Do you know who this laughing woman is? She's the biggest winner in this cheating farce. At a Coldplay concert, a cheating couple was caught on camera.
Because in the end, the most powerful data can't save you. But character might. So what started as an unexpected kiss cam moment turned into a full-blown corporate meltdown. one that cost a CEO his job, shattered a company's reputation, and left the tech industry reeling. But this story isn't just about Andy Byron or Astronomer. It's about the fine line leaders walk between public image and private behavior. It's about how, in an age of instant virality, one slip can unravel years of credibility. And it's a warning to every company. Culture isn't built by a slogan on the wall. It's built by the behavior of those at the top.
No, I don't mean that. I mean this. Like, they drew attention to themselves. They Barbra Streisand themselves. So if you don't know...
Because when trust breaks down, no title, no platform, no amount of PR spin can glue it back together overnight. The only question now is, who's next?